Getting publicly humiliated in front of 37 colleagues without a single warning remains the most defining moment of my career. The new transformation consultant strolled into my weekly operations presentation holding a trendy beverage and completely derailed my life. He casually mentioned that retaining legacy employees felt like dragging dead weight through the mud. The room fell entirely silent while my 12 years of absolute dedication evaporated into nothing. My name is Cynthia, and I had spent over a decade building that entire supply chain network from scratch. I worked through major corporate transitions and personal tragedies, while the consultant relied solely on his family name. His name was Sterling, and he possessed a sharp jawline along with a complete lack of professional empathy. Sterling was the son of the chief executive officer, which explained why he acted so untouchable. Later that afternoon, I received an urgent summons to the executive conference room for an unexpected meeting. Sterling sat there flanked by two human resources representatives who flashed those overly polite corporate smiles. They offered me an incredibly generous severance package worth 6 months of pay to ensure my quiet departure. I signed the documents calmly while hiding the intense fury that was burning deep inside my chest. Sterling believed he had silenced me forever, but he did not know about my secret strategy. For months, I had been negotiating quietly with the founder of our primary freight distribution partner named Apex Logistics. The founder, whose name was Silas, wanted to retire due to a difficult personal divorce. My massive severance payout provided the exact financial leverage I needed to completely change the rules of the game. The very next morning, I traveled to the dusty headquarters of Apex Logistics to meet with Silas. I pooled my severance funds along with my personal savings to execute a swift wire transfer. Within hours, I legally controlled 51% of the supplier that kept my former employer alive. I immediately drafted a massive rate increase that would severely test the arrogance of my rivals. Before the ink on the contract could even dry, my phone buzzed with an unknown phone number. The text message was brief and simply stated that my recent acquisition had not gone unnoticed. It was signed with a single letter which instantly made my stomach turn with intense anxiety. The message came from Evelyn, who was the former wife of the chief executive officer. Evelyn had vanished from the corporate world years ago after a brutal and highly confidential divorce settlement. She requested a private dinner at an exclusive downtown restaurant where the elite routinely traded dark secrets. I knew that replying to her message was dangerous, but curiosity drove me to accept the invitation. I needed to discover how she knew about my secret transaction before it became public. The next evening, Evelyn sat across from me, looking entirely unaffected by the passage of time. She slid a thick white envelope across the table without uttering a single word of greeting. Inside were private documents proving that Sterling had secretly attempted to buy Apex Logistics weeks before me. Sterling wanted to monopolize the supply chain to inflate the value of the firm before cashing out. Evelyn explained that my sudden purchase had completely ruined the secret consolidation plan of her arrogant son. She offered me crucial internal information in exchange for a 5% silent stake in my new company. Evelyn openly admitted that her hatred for her son was the primary motivation behind this alliance. We toasted with expensive wine as we prepared to dismantle a family dynasty together. The corporate retaliation began 3 days later when an aggressive internal audit request targeted Apex Logistics. Sterling suspected that someone was moving against him, and he began spreading fear among the warehouse staff. Panic spread through the logistics department as employees worried about losing their jobs in the crossfire. Evelyn called to warn me that Sterling was attempting to portray me as an unstable former employee. To counter his narrative, I arranged an urgent meeting with the largest client of my former company. The client was a powerful distributor named Warren who despised Sterling due to a previous personal insult. I offered Warren exclusive distribution rates that were 10% lower than any corporate alternative available. Warren gladly signed the new agreement, which immediately plunged the corporate logistics team into absolute panic. During the weekend, a courier delivered a mysterious package containing a shocking photograph of Sterling. The image showed him heavily intoxicated alongside the chief financial officer of the corporation during a late-night party. A handwritten note from Evelyn on the back reminded me that everyone possesses leverage if you know where to press. I realized that Evelyn was pulling the strings of a much larger trap. I demanded the absolute truth during a tense phone call with Evelyn the following Sunday afternoon. She confessed that she had been waiting 6 long years for the perfect opportunity to seek vengeance. Evelyn wanted to reclaim the corporate empire that her former husband had stripped away during their divorce. I began to feel a deep hesitation about becoming a pawn in her dangerous game. On Monday morning, Sterling launched his final defense by filing a massive corporate lawsuit against me. The legal documents accused me of corporate espionage and emotional instability in an effort to freeze my operations. He wanted to stall my new contracts until his father could step in and salvage the situation. Fortunately, my brilliant attorney named Victoria assured me that we possessed superior evidence to win. We walked into the emergency board meeting where Sterling expected to witness my total professional destruction. Instead, Victoria distributed folders containing undeniable proof of the secret financial misconduct committed by Sterling. The documents revealed that he had used offshore proxies to attempt to buy out the supplier from his own father. The entire boardroom fell completely silent as the gravity of his deception became clear. The father of Sterling, named Richard, demanded that his son leave the room immediately to face the consequences. Richard asked me what it would take to prevent a massive public shareholder lawsuit from destroying the firm. I demanded a full public resignation from Sterling along with a complete dissolution of their ties to my company. They signed the agreement, and Sterling was escorted out of the building by security. The official press release announced the departure of Sterling, but a strange feeling lingered within my mind. I received a final voicemail from Evelyn explaining that she had used me to destroy her own son. She had vanished completely, but she left me an additional 12% ownership stake in the logistics firm. I now controlled 63% of the entire empire, completely independent of any partners. Weeks passed, and the business thrived under my singular leadership while the ghosts of the past faded away. I received a vintage photograph of Evelyn holding her newborn son, along with a final encouraging letter. She urged me to lead successfully without letting the pursuit of absolute power corrupt my soul. I walked into the boardroom knowing that I had truly earned my place at the top of this empire.